And I would say in teamfights, she is not, whoa, 1 vs 9, insane. Like Diana, I jump in, bam, boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. Everyone is dead. Camille's like, auto attack, they're running away. Let me keep them. Let me keep chasing them. Can I chase them? I don't know. Diana's like, chew, 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 chew. Ooh, kaboom. Hey, what's up guys, Darkbreaker here and welcome to today's tier list video for patch 4.0a. I would say this patch wasn't that big and we have a bunch of small changes for Aatrox, Akshan, Ashe, Blitzcrank, Echo, Kayn, Lucian, Lux, Nautilus, Rakan, Zed, Yone and Zoe. I think the biggest changes are probably Echo Jungle. You have like the monster damage amplification getting increased by 30%. It's definitely gonna help him. Then we have Kayn. They buffed Kayn Blue Form, but honestly, in my opinion, Kayn Blue Form is still very bad in comparison to Red Form. Red Form is still much better. Yeah. I hope you guys will enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you guys are going to enjoy this tier list. And I think I have a pretty good understanding about the current meta right now, what's good and what not, because we have been pushing the last 2 days in Legend Queue. I'm gonna show you guys right here my stats. We got Vanquisher and we have 80, like more than 80% win rate and really good stats. So I think I have a pretty good understanding about what's good in solo queue and what you guys should pick or what you guys should not pick. And I'm planning on making a new series, and the next video will be called how to be a good jungler, or what makes a good jungler. What makes a good jungler? If you guys want to see that, then definitely write it down below in the comments, and let's get started with the Baron lane tier list. Remember, first of all, this is my personal opinion. Obviously, it's just an orientation. Secondly, the stars means the champion got adjusted. Or I thought, wow, the champion is a hot pick right now. Honestly, Echo got buffed, but that's okay. Let's get started with Baron lane first. So in the Baron lane, I think nothing major happens. Yes, Aatrox got nerfed, but he's still broken, still very strong. Untouchable. My man is untouchable. The nerfs don't matter to him. Still very broken. I think I'm gonna summarize this very quickly, since I feel like the meta barely changed. Like, we had some item changes, so some mages are stronger with the Luden's Echo, sure. But minus that, the meta didn't change at all. Nothing changed majorly. Like inhibitors, I didn't even notice the inhibitors yet. By the way, they didn't occur to me. Inhibitors, what are inhibitors? I didn't even notice them yet. Camille, still pretty versatile, split pusher, good duelist. Gwen, one of the best anti-tank champions, tons of true damage and magic damage. Jax is one of the best split pushers in the game. Then Wukong, super versatile jungler, very good. How do I say jungler? I mean, it applies for the Baron and jungle, to be fair. Super solid laner with great team fighting and decent duel power. Then we have Fiora, one of the best split pushers in the game as well. Very strong in the early game. We have Gragas. You can play him AP or tank, works either way. Very good in the lane and also very good in team fights. Jay is one of the strongest lane bodies and great poke damage. Renekton. What did they change on Renekton exactly? No, nothing. Oh, that was on the last patch. I forgot to change it. I've played Renekton a few times in legendary mode, and wow, my man is strong. Very strong lane body, good front line. And overall, he has a very solid package. Then we have Akali, one of the best assassins in the game, super strong in team fights and can be very good in 1 vs 1 as well. But I would say In the Baron lane, you need a good matchup knowledge, and she isn't as easy as in the mid lane. I think in the Baron lane, Akali, if you want to be a good Akali, you need a lot of games, both in mid lane as well as in the Baron lane, but especially in the Baron lane, you need a lot of games for the matchups. Riven, high mobile burst damage, amazing in solo queue, especially in lower ranks. Garen, super consistent, easy to play champion, tons of damage and tanky as well. Execution with the ultimate. Zed got buffed. Maybe I'm just a bad Zed, but there are not that many players that are playing Zed right now. And I think there's only a few where I would say, wow, Zed is broken. Looks broken when I see it, because I feel like Zed is pretty hard to play in a lot of team comps right now, or against a lot of team comps with high mobility and high crowd control. The same issues applies for Darius as well. But overall, I think in lower ranks or in Soloq in general, they could be S plus as well. I'm always gonna keep them around this area, because I'm really not certain for myself if I consider them, whoa, broken. Especially Darius. Darius for sure not. Zed more likely to be S plus. Darius for sure not. Darius is strong, but he gets kited into oblivion. Zed has some better playmaking potential, and he is more tanky, plus the ultimate in team fights. Sion, decent split pusher overall. Yeah, decent split pusher. Is tanky, can be good frontline in team fights as well. Shen and Malphite are great in team fights. Decent in the lane, not really that strong, but their utility value in team fights is obviously very good. Already a high skill champion in the Baron lane, you need to understand the matchmaking. You need to understand the matchups. Let's move on. Singe. Singe got buffed in the previous patch, and making him definitely better. In the early game, he's still kind of weak, but overall in team fights, he has a lot of playmaking potential and is super tanky. Pantheon, very strong in the early game, but weak in the late game. Warwick, kinda cheesy pick in the Baron lane, not that good in team fights, but obviously he can snowball in the lane when he's winning. Akshan got buffed, but the second ability buff doesn't matter too much on Akshan. I think it's nice to have, but they didn't touch the third ability or any of his base stats, so doesn't change his tier. One of the strongest lane bullies, especially in the Baron lane, by the way. Let's move this closer, by the way. Okay, next one, Cannon. Insane team fights. Insane in team fights. In the early game, super strong, but in the mid and late game, in the lane itself, not that good. Also pretty squishy, so he's kind of punishable. Let's move on to Yone. In the early game, he's okay. In the late game, he is a monster. Yasuo, kind of situational, high skill ceiling, but in teamfights, when you have the items, he can become absolutely broken. Okay, not broken, but very strong. Then we have Kassadin. Kassadin is, in my opinion, a very strong assassin, especially in the late game, but in the early game, he is kind of weak, especially in the Baron lane, but in the mid lane, he is broken still. Diana. I think Diana is absolutely amazing in the jungle and in the mid lane. In the Baron lane, she is okay if you guys want some more AP versatility in your champion pool. She is fine. I think in the lane she does okay. In teamfights she does good. But you won't snowball or you won't be as effective as in the other roles I mentioned beforehand. Tryndamere in the early game is pretty weak, but he is a very scary monster in the late game. We have Teemo, a very strong lane bully in the early game. Late game can be pretty good, but in between that time frame, he is very vulnerable and doesn't carry asset as other champions. Dr. Mundo, in the 1v1, he is okay. He is a frontline meat shield in teamfights, but doesn't provide any utility and isn't good at sieging turrets as well. Plus, he gets outscared by a lot of Sandra champions or Sandra split push champions. Dude, I don't know, my eyes are kind of tired. Okay, next one, Zed. That high skill ceiling works in the barrel lane if you know the matchups and if you are very proficient at kiting and dodging and poking people down. Jarvan, honestly, Jarvan is a nightmare. Let's remove this. Don't play this champion. I've got Jarvan top lane twice in barrel lane, and wow. He had 2 KP in 30 kills in total. Or I had 2 games. One was Wildrift Jarvan, never joining any teamfight, and the other game was 2 KP Jarvan in a 25-minute game. No, just pick him in the jungle. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. Out! Removed! You are officially removed from barrel lane. I don't want to see you there. Great. Great split pusher, insane scaling. Can be pretty good as a melee counter against some matchups. Nasus, 2 scaling and 2 weak in the early game. Same applies for Kayle, but she's even weaker and easier to punish in the lane. Nautilus is okay, better in the support role. If you are desperate for a tanky pick in the barrel lane, go for it with a low skill ceiling, sure. But otherwise, there are better options. There are better options that are stronger in the 1v1 and better in teamfights. Like a Malphite, for example. Or a Shen with a global ultimate. Vayne and Lucian are strong lane bullies, but very easy to punish for the enemy jungler in comparison to Akshan. Okay, let's move on to mid lane. Let's get started with jungle. So for jungle, Diana with the buff Ludens is absolutely cracked. I have been spamming Diana so much that I'm top 3 Diana right now. I think she is busted and everyone is starting to ban her, realizing the potential that she has as an assassin in teamfights, just demolishing people, tons of mobility, tons of damage. Aatrox in the jungle, actually one of the highest jungle win rates on average in China. Like, he does super well. He's, I mean, obviously a very tanky champion, same as like Wukong. Very good ganker, very good in teamfights. Gragas, one shot. Morgana, insane poke. Shyvana, 1vs9 scaling monster. Kha'Zix, assassination monster. Lee Sin, spam gank, mobility monster. Evelynn, stealth disgusting monster. Olaf, run them down monster. Lilia, sleep well, good night, monster. I think that's a good summary. I mean, it didn't change. Like, the jungle tier list barely changed in my opinion. Now, Kayn got buffed, but blue Kayn is still dog shit in my opinion. Red Kayn is much better. So the changes don't really affect Red Kayn that much. And I think Kayn is very good or pretty good red form, but blue form is still bad in comparison. Nunu, snowballing monster. No, I mean he has good crowd control, he has a good spam ganker, and he's good frontline in team fights. Yone, they kinda nerfed his late game damage, but it doesn't really affect him that much. I mean, it's only on monsters as well, so barely matters, and his early game damage is slightly more even. Overall, Yone is like insane scaling monster. Darius, I would say he has very good carry potential, especially in lower ranks. But I've told you guys the cons of Darius, especially against high mobility and high crowd control. He actually has like one of the highest win rates in China as a jungler. Echo got buffed, but I still think, yes, he is a very strong scaling champion, but his early game is kind of slow paced. Riven, high mobility, high burst damage. Xin Zhao, super solid ganker, tanky, does a lot of damage. Jarvan, amazing spam ganker, is tanky as well, and great utility in teamfights. Vi, great ganker, does decent amount of damage and is a good initiator in teamfights. Aurelia, very good 1vs9 carry champion, kind of situational and high skill ceiling. Jace overall does a lot of damage and great poking damage as well. Fiora is a great duelist, very good in early skirmishes and snowballs. Fizz, the problem about Fizz is his early game. His early game is not that good, but once he has like 3 items, he becomes very, very strong. Pantheon, on the other hand, is in the early game very good, but in the late game, he is very, very weak. Dr. Mundo, honestly, jungle clear speed wise, not that bad. Ganks are kind of off, and in teamfights, he is pretty much a meat shield, so you kind of rely on your teammates. Warwick, I think, is a very coin flippy champion. He can snowball super well and become super strong. His team fighting is not that good, but his catch potential is pretty good in the right hands when you play pretty good. Next one, Grace. Grace in the early game, not that good, but in the late game, he scaled like a truck and he just keeps one-shotting you afterwards. Ramos is a strong spam ganker, very similar to Jarvan. Situational pick. In the end, he doesn't carry as hard because he doesn't have that much damage, so you kind of rely on your teammates. Now for Amumu, option 1, you go tank Amumu, and you are great in teamfights. You have tons of utility with your ultimate and your bandage tossers, or you go full AP, but then your teammates are, like, the problem is then your damage is okay, it's okay, but it's not devastating like a full AP Diana or Gragas, and on top of that, you're pretty squishy when you go for that build. But I mean, it's playable, obviously. Jax, early game, jungle clear speed, pretty slow. He scaled like a truck though. Renekton, overall super solid pick. Gwen in the early game, very slow paced. I don't like the pace that she has in the early game. It's extremely slow, but once she has like 3 items, she becomes a monster and does a lot of damage and just runs people down. Rengar, a very coin flippy snowballing champion in the jungle. Either he's a god 10-0, one-shots you with crits, or he is 0-10, useless, gets one-shotted. Pick your choice. Pick your choice, guys. Camille, overall, pretty solid, good ganker, good mobility, kind of slow paced in the early game. And I would say in teamfights, she is not, whoa, 1 vs 9, insane. Like Diana, I jump in, bam, boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. Everyone is dead. Camille's like, auto attack, they're running away, let me keep them, let me keep chasing them, can I chase them? I don't know. Diana's like, chew, 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 chew. Ooh, kaboom. Kaboom, guys. Diana is the best. Next one, Zed. Zed actually very popular in China, especially Nova Long is spamming it as well. High skill ceiling, good ganker, good damage, good at snowballing, insane diver. But I would say he's pretty hard to play in the jungle, or to make him work in the jungle. Like, you need to be skilled as a Zed to make him work. And his ganks are not necessarily the best because you always have to use your ultimate if you want to secure a kill. Next one, Master Yi, kind of hit and miss, either your O10 or your 10-0, and he gets countered by Crocodile, obviously. Trinema in the early game, very weak, takes a long time to scale, but in the late game he becomes a monster and just runs you down and crits you to death. I don't know. I feel like I don't have anything in B. Maybe I could move some down. I don't know. Maybe I could move stuff like Master Yi and Trinema down. Or even Mundo or Warwick. Warwick is honestly not that good. Because I have only 2 champions in B right now, right? If I had to decide and I have to put more champions in B, I would put Master Yi and Trinema. But to be fair, Master Yi in low elo is pretty free. Like, if I was spamming a Master Yi in Diamond or Emerald, I would carry pretty much every game very easily. I don't know. Nautilus and Shen kind of slow paced. And I feel like they are better and competitive than in solo queue. Like, if you have good teammates, then they work fine. But if you have bad teammates, it doesn't work. Doesn't work, guys. Maybe I should adjust it, but I mean, they are all broken. Yes, it's accurate. I feel like maybe between A and B, I could sort it like some into B. Maybe I would put Mundo down. Nah, I guess Trinamere. I guess I would put it. I mean, Master Yi always has the snowball effect. I think if I was spamming Master Yi right now, I would carry a lot of games. Like, a lot of games would be like 15, 15-1, 15-2, and then a few games would be like 2-7. I'm griefing, I can't do anything. I don't like Warwick, but I have seen some good Warwicks, not gonna lie. I have seen one really good Warwick lately, but he was snowballing super hard. Like, because teammates were bad, not necessarily because he was good. I mean, he was doing fine, obviously. But I feel like my teammates were just playing really bad and too over aggressive, just free dying all the time. I think it's fine like this. I'm gonna put Tournament Mundo here. Okay, let's move on to mid lane. Wait. So for mid lane, we finally have Zoe implemented. Yo, Mad Labs updated the tier list. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Zoe is a very hard to play champion. If you are proficient on Zoe, if you are a good Zoe player, then she is S+. If you are a bad Zoe player, then she is a Yasuo, major Yasuo pretty much. But if you're good Zoe, she has insane poke damage, she has utility with her second ability, and then on top of that she has the sleep effect from the third ability. She can be very devastating and being untouchable pretty much. Now let's summarize the next champions. Casadina, Akali are insane assassins and are super strong in team fights. Casadin is obviously kind of scaling, but in the mid lane it's much easier for him to scale than in other lanes. Vex, also very strong champion with high utility and high burst damage. Ahri is an amazing assassin with a lot of playmaking potential. Diana, super strong in team fights and high mobility. Then we have Katarina, one reset and you just wipe them all. Karma, insane poke, insane utility. Yone, Yasuo are godly scaling monsters. 3 items, you just get 2 hitted. Aurelia, one of the best 1vs9 hyper carries when you are proficient on her, and she is very strong as a duelist as well. Corki is super strong in teamfights, especially with a package. I always rate him high because his package is so broken in solo queue, especially for the dragon. You just collect the package right before the dragon, you fight, boom, you win. Jace, strong poking champion, great in the early game. Pyke, insane playmaker with good roaming potential. Galio, overall super solid poker with great playmaking. Galio provides a lot of utility with his taunt, with his knock up, with the global ultimate to join in teamfights and knock people up. Akshan got buffed. I've seen a few Akshans, but there are also so many bad Akshans. I've seen a few challenger Akshans that were so bad. I don't know. I think the patch doesn't matter. I think he's solid. He's very strong in the early game. One of the best laners, especially in the mid lane. And overall, the buff didn't affect him too much. He does a lot of damage, but he's also kind of short-ranged. So I feel like in the late game, he might kind of fall off against certain team comps. Fizz, insane scaling monster, one-shots you. Orianna and Ziggs are great utility poking champions, but I feel like in competitive they work much better than in solo queue. Stinch, great playmaker, super scaling in the late game. In the early game kind of weak, but he has some playmaking potential at scuttle fights in the early game. Zed, strong assassin, great split pusher. Twisted Fate, great macro god with the ultimate to catch people. Lucian, high mobility, high burst damage. Then with Fiora, super strong counter against a lot of champions in the mid lane, since she is such a great duelist. Pantheon in the early game, very strong in the late game, falls off, but ultimate value for roaming potential is there. Veigar in the early game, kinda weak, but in the late game he scales like a truck and he provides a great crowd control with the event horizon when you have the right team comp. Echo, still the same, early game weak, late game becomes super strong. Annie bad at roaming in the early game, but her ultimate playmaking potential is crazy. Morgana provides decent amount of utility and decent amount of poke, but her early game is very weak. I would say in the mid lane she's much better as a jungler. Brand, I would say his team fighting is very good. But I would also say his 1v1 is not that good, and he can't really roam, and he's also very squishy without any mobility. Aurelion Sol in general is great in team fights, but his laning phase is definitely not that good. Garen, super solid tank. Cannon, great ultimate. Lux, great poke damage, and overall decent utility. I would say AP, the thing about the changes in this patch is AP Lux got buffed, right? I mean, AP Lux got nerfed, but support Lux got buffed. I still rate her 8 here. Seraphine, bad, just bad, don't play her. Kale, just bad, don't play her. She's okay, she's fine in the mid lane though, but both of these champions really are not that good on solo queue. I know. Oh wow, the win rate is so high. I saw the win rate. Kale and Diamond is so good. I would say the problem is it's low rank. It's just low elo. Like they count low elo. Diamond. Do you guys understand? Diamond is probably like top 20%. Top 20%, and PC is like gold or something. It's not that good. Because of Crownfist, yeah. Like when you play against humans, you just can't play and you don't have the time to scale. And Seraphine is just AFK in the lane, and she can't do as much as a bunch of other champions here. Like, why would you play this champion when you can just play Karma? Why would you play this champion when you can play Orianna or Ziggs? They are 10 times stronger. They have more range. They can rotate better. They have better poke. They can just spam their poke non-stop over and over. Do way more damage. Yes, she has a great ultimate, but that's about it. Let's move on to ADC. So for ADC, Mr. Lucian got buffed in the early game, making him an even more oppressive lane. Disgusting. High mobility, high burst damage, disgusting. Ezreal, high mobility, insane poke damage, late game scaling, still broken. Corki, package, disgusting, broken. Vayne, true damage, condemn, invisibility, too much mobility. Broken. Samira, too much. She's the ADC of. She is Katarina as an ADC. Disgusting. Too much sustain. Too much AoE damage. I hate her ultimate. I hate her Bloodthirster synergy. Too much lifesteal. When she gets fed, she just does one ultimate boom. You can't do anything. Varus, great poke damage. Kai'Sa, super consistent champion. Like across the board, she's just super strong. Tristana, late game, disgusting monster. Disgusting. Tristana with Lulu just open 5. Like when she gets 3 items with a Lulu, you pretty much lost the game already. Saya, I would say super solid, great ultimate. Caitlyn, long range, super consistent. Jinx weaker than Tristana in the early game, but late game monster. Draven, oppressive early game, one of the best early games as an ADC. Super snowbody champion, but obviously high skill ceiling and lack of mobility. Jhin strong in the early game, but late game falls off. Dude, I've seen some, by the way, I've seen some Misfortune APs. I've seen some Misfortune APs in the mid lane. And I was surprised it wasn't bad. Okay, I'm gonna put Misfortune in as well. It wasn't bad. I'm gonna put it 8 here. It honestly was very good. I don't know. It was. I was surprised. That was pretty good. Where was I? Senna. Senna ADC is shit. Let's put a beat here. I don't know. Senna ADC does negative damage. Negative damage. Ashe got buffed. ADC Ashe is better now. More damage. Yay. Less utility though. Karma, Orianna, Lux, Ziggs. Great utility poking mages. Brand and Morgana just slightly weaker than these 4. Let's move on to support. I mean, I'm kind of speed running this because it's kind of repetitive because we didn't have like huge changes, and I think my last tier list was fairly accurate. Fuck Soraka players. disgusting. After playing Legend Queue, I've played 50 games in Legend Queue, right? Actually, I've played against one Soraka that was so disgusting to play against. But I had a few Sorakas that were so useless. I don't know. I think she's much better and competitive than Soloq. She's not a good Soloq pick. She's a very situational pick. Very situational. Okay, let's get started with the S plus first. Karma, still broken. Yumi, still broken. Must ban. If I had to choose other bans after these two, I would ban Nautilus, Thresh, Rakan. They are pretty disgusting. Lulu is disgusting. Yeah. Thresh, Gragas, Nautilus, Alistar, Rakan, Galio. Great playmaking, tanky, supports. Like, that's how you can summarize them. Pike and Soloq in the right hands is broken. If I had like the enemy Pike, I would put it here, but my average Pike is like here. The average Pike is here, a good Pike is here, and a very good one-trick pony Pike is like here. Take it. Great at playmaking and catching people. Lux support got buffed. Yeah, her early game damage is better, and she has overall she just does way more damage now than beforehand. Like, since you're not buying any AP anyways. Center support is fine into the right team comp, provides a lot of utility. Jenna, great peeler. Nami, also great peeler with playmaking potential. Lulu, good enchanter with like hyper carries. Ashe support got nerfed, but still pretty solid into the right team comp, provides a lot of utility and playmaking. Leona, decent frontline. Braum, decent frontline. Set a decent frontline with, I mean, they all have their playmaking potential as well. Soraka, very situational pick in my opinion. Blitzcrank, I hate Blitzcrank players. Just put them C tier. Yeah, they're all disgusting. Sona, Seraphine. I think Sona, Seraphine are okay. In the early game, they're kind of weak, but in the late game, into the right team comp, they provide decent amount of utility and poking damage. Morgana in the early game, very weak though, but in the late game, I think she's providing decent amount of poking and utility as well. But that's about it for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For you guys wondering why I'm speedrunning, I feel really tired, by the way. I feel really tired. I slept only 4 hours. I feel really tired. That's why I kind of speedrun this. But also because it's kind of repetitive compared to the last tier list. I hope you guys don't mind it too much. Appreciate the fact that we now have Zoe, and oh yeah, there's Zoe support, but I don't know where I would put Zoe support. I wouldn't play Zoe support, to be fair. Let's put Zoe here since I didn't add her yet beforehand. I mean, not much change. You could argue that Set might move. You could argue that Echo might be better, but I think it's fine like this. I think it's more than fine. Listen to the Vanquisher. Listen to the Vanquisher, guys. Okay? Listen to the Vanquisher. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.